Well, hi, everybody. Welcome to Hot Mike. I'm your co-host, Bill Whittle. Hot Mike can't be here this morning, unfortunately. He was this week's celebrity guest of honor at the Southeastern Missouri Steampunk Cosplay Convention held in Cape Girardeau. He drank too much quinine water during the couple days he was there, missed his flight home, but we expect him back tomorrow. Well, there's been a second iconic photograph released just yesterday. That's two in a week, really. The first one, of course, was the capture of the booster by SpaceX. That's going down in history. And then, of course, there's this one. The first thing I want to say about this is that Donald Trump is a genius. He's a political genius, which is to say he's a media genius. I predicted back in 2012, 2 days after Romney lost the election to Barack Obama, that the next president was going to be a Republican, but I said he was coming from the pop culture. I had no idea it was going to be Donald Trump. I don't want to overblow my horn on this. But the one thing I was certain of was that if a Republican was ever going to win the presidency again, he would have to know how to play the media. He would have to know what political theater is, optics, what feels and looks right and natural, and be comfortable enough to sell people on it. And that's exactly what he did. Mr. Trump goes to McDonald's. Now, as I said, he's a political genius. He understands political theater. Going back to Butler, Pennsylvania, the scene of his previous assassination attempt that missed him by millimeters in just a fraction of a second was political genius. It not only reminds people that he's willing to die for his country and go back again, but it also reminds them that he's not afraid. He's not physically afraid of them. It's a middle finger to the entire idea of assassinating him, and it takes an awful lot of courage. He's absolutely got the feel for authenticity and the translation of almost subconscious levels of yearning into an actual image. To step back on the stage at Butler and have the first things out of his mouth be, as I was saying, you can't write that kind of stuff. I don't even know if Ronald Reagan had that kind of an ear. Now, of course, there's a sort of a small-scale tactical win for Trump by going to McDonald's and working the fry station. It's a terrific burn of Kamala Harris on two fronts. First of all, Kamala Harris claimed to have worked at McDonald's, but as usual, she didn't specify which one or when or whatever, so she completely made it up the way she's made up everything else about her campaign. Same thing goes for Tim Walz with his claims of carrying weapons in war and being a command master sergeant and all the rest of it. They think if it's something that the people will like, they'll just chuck it in there as if there's no internet, as if there's no way to tell. They'll tell you what you want to hear. He wasn't doing that. He wasn't telling us what we wanted to hear. Apparently, Harris was on him. This all gets so confused now in terms of hearsay, but apparently Trump said it doesn't take a rocket scientist. You don't have to be very, very smart to run a fry station. And Harris and the Democrats and all of their cohorts on the media got all huffy about this. How dare he say such a thing? How could he possibly say such an insensitive thing? Well, this is a newsflash for you guys out there in the mainstream media. He said it because it was true. You don't have to be a genius to run a fry station at McDonald's. And the former president of the United States, the billionaire, went out and proved it. Everybody talks about how stupid Trump is. At least if you don't like Trump, you say he's just basically an overblown gas bag idiot. Well, he's smart enough to run a fry station. Now, I've seen my share of guys working fry stations in the course of my life. He wasn't a virtuoso performance, but considering he had just had about 3.5 minutes of training, I thought he did a pretty good job. But that's not the point, you see. Donald Trump said you don't have to be a genius to work a fry station. But what he didn't say was, oh, you're too smart to work a fry station at McDonald's. You understand the difference there? That's something a progressive would say. What's your son do? Oh, he just got a brand new job. Really? What's he doing? He works a fry station at McDonald's. Your son is far too smart to be working a fry station at McDonald's. That's not what Trump said. The exact opposite of what Trump said. What Trump didn't do when he talked about not having to be too bright to run a fry station is he didn't impugn the job. He just said it doesn't take an awful lot of mental ability. He didn't say that it's beneath anybody. On the contrary, what he's basically saying is that there's no shame in it, the same way that a progressive would feel mortified to tell the rest of their friends that their brilliant, Indigo or Erasmus got his first job working a fry station at McDonald's. There's no shame in it. And he showed there's no shame in it because he went and worked the fry station. Do you see how brilliant this is and how many different levels this simple act of political theater is? And by the way, to say that it's political theater is, and to give you the impression that somehow it's not real or it's made up is to misunderstand what political theater is. Political theater, like any other kind of theater, is the ability to take a very complex set of emotions and aspirations, expectations, fears, worries, all of that, and condense it down into an image or a series of actions that conveys much, much more than what you see on the surface. That's what political theater is. It's what any theater is. And he's a genius at it. So like I said, just on the smallest possible level, he trumped Kamala Harris's claim of working at McDonald's and decided to rub salt in the wound by saying, well, now I've worked 15 minutes longer at McDonald's than Kamala Harris ever did. In other words, she's a liar. And she is. This is what progressives do when they talk to regular people. They're not regular people. They have nothing but contempt for regular people. And so this is why Hillary Clinton will go on an all-black radio show when she was running for president and say that she doesn't go anywhere without a bottle of hot sauce in her purse. This is why Democrats put on Southern accents when they're speaking in the South and put on black accents when they're speaking to black people or put on sort of a Hispanic accent when they're talking to a largely Latino crowd. They first of all, think that the audience is too stupid to catch the pandering. And secondly, they can't accept or understand the fact that you could simply connect to one of these people in these identity groups on a one-to-one basis as an individual. But now we get to where Donald Trump's trip to McDonald's goes beyond political theater and goes into the realm of almost the sublime. Because it wasn't just about him learning how to run the fry station and putting the fries into the fry container. The real magic of Trump's trip to McDonald's was him handing the bags out at the drive-thru window. And the moment for me was when a regular family pulled up at the drive-thru and basically said, Mr. Trump, thank you so much for helping save our country. We're just ordinary people. And Trump leaned in. He said, you're not ordinary people. There's nothing ordinary about you. It's not a scripted line. He didn't know they were going to say that. That is a deeply held conviction, and it's about the most American conviction you can have. This is something the progressives will never understand. This is something the Marxists and the socialists will never understand because it's built into their philosophy. There are the elites that run the party runs the people, and the people are the masses. They are the masses. That's how they refer to them. The great unwashed, the giant part of flyover country, regular people, the masses, this indistinct, undifferentiated, completely homogeneous blob of proles that you have to stoop to every 4 years in order to get them to elect you to office so you can tell them what to do for their own good. Donald Trump doesn't see people that way. Americans don't see people that way. We don't have the masses in America. We have individual people that pull up to the window one at a time, who want their order, and then they drive off. Thank you very much. Have a great day. You have a great day too. That's what America really is. We're just regular people. We're just ordinary people, Mr. President. There's nothing ordinary about you, he said. He's right. There is nothing ordinary about those people. Those people in that car knew more than Donald Trump about a lot of things. They certainly knew more about running their own business than Donald Trump knows about running their business, but you can't tell that to people like Kamala Harris, Barack Obama, or Hillary Clinton, who are convinced they know how to run everything better than anybody else. That's the genius of it. That's the common touch. It's real. It's authentic. It is the antithesis of Kamala Harris, for whom nothing is authentic. There is no authentic moment of Kamala Harris. That cackle of hers, that laugh, is a feminine trait that has been taken to such a degree under such pressure. It's almost like you took when I say it's a feminine trait, you will often hear women, especially young women, put a laugh at the end of almost everything they say when they're talking to men, especially important men, as if everything's very, very lighthearted. Don't take it too seriously if I get the answer wrong. For Harris, who's been under such pressure to perform beyond her abilities for such a long time, it's now a cackle. It's like taking what was normally just a piece of coal and compressing it down to a diamond of anxiety. That there's nothing real about it. That's why it comes at such inappropriate times. She will cackle like that in the most inappropriate times because there's nothing funny about what she said. She's just nervous, and she's nervous all the time. Donald Trump goes to McDonald's and has an authentic experience there, goes to the Al Smith dinner, makes jokes about himself, and gets some great one-liners off against some of his opponents. Kamala Harris is not just too afraid to go to the Al Smith dinner. She's too inauthentic to go to the Al Smith dinner. She doesn't know how to laugh at herself or even when to laugh at herself. I don't think she's capable of it. Instead, she sends in something from Molly Shannon, who was on Saturday Night Live from, 1995 to 2001, something like that. It was weak, it was lame, but mostly it was inauthentic. It wasn't funny, it didn't have anything to it. It was all gloss, produced by a staff of idiots that actually thought that this might actually be appropriate to go with a character that was never a particularly great character anyway. 23 years ago, this is what I'm going to mail in to make up for the fact that I'm the first candidate of either party to not show up at the Al Smith dinner since Walter Mondale, who lost 49 states back in 1984. No, it's one of the most remarkable things I've ever seen, Donald Trump go to McDonald's. And I said at the beginning that this iconic photo of Donald Trump at the drive-in window was the second one this week, and that it compared to the SpaceX booster. So let's go back to that booster shot for a second. This picture is not just iconic, it's inspirational. This photograph, just this photograph, has given not just Americans but the world a sense that there is a future, the way there used to be a future, that there's not just a possibility of survival, but a possibility of purpose and meaning. This photograph, especially for space nuts like me, but really I think just about everybody realizes that this photograph represents hope. It represents hope for a world that's better than the world we live in now, a world of miracles. This is what we believed when I was a kid growing up. That's the feeling I got from this, was an overwhelming sense of hope. It overpowering, made me cry. And I maintain that this picture of Donald Trump in the drive-in window does exactly the same thing. It gives me an overpowering sense of hope. It makes me almost want to cry. And I'll tell you why. This picture shows us on some very deep level what we want to see. Because when you get right down to it, when you're voting for the President of the United States, when you're voting for the person that is going to lead you, your country, your lives, the lives of your children, the lives of all of your property, everything you've built, everything you've worked for, the entire package is essentially going to be in somebody's hands. But ultimately, folks, when it's all said and done, the only thing I want or you really want from a President of the United States, let me rephrase that, the only thing that you really need, that you emotionally need from the President, is the sense that he's one of us, that he's on our side, that he's a regular guy. Isn't it strange that the Democratic Party, which claims to be the party of the people, can't produce anybody authentic? Barack Obama wasn't authentic. Joe Biden isn't authentic. Hillary Clinton wasn't authentic. And Kamala Harris is more unauthentic than the other three combined. She's just a shadow of smoke on the wall. But this strange man, this man who's often childish, who has difficulty controlling his outbursts, who's worth a ton of money, who's made his own money without coercion in the toughest market there is, who swims prior to getting into politics with the meanest sharks in the sea, and not only survives but thrives. There's a kindness to this man. There's an ordinariness to this billionaire that is missing in our political class. There's something regular guy about this man, and we have felt it from the moment he came down on a golden escalator. How bizarre is this entire Trump phenomenon? But the guy eats at McDonald's, just like you do and I do. He has worked at McDonald's now, just like so many of us do. He's the real deal. And that's all we want. All we want in a president is the sense that this guy is looking out for our interests, that when it comes to China or Russia or inflation or the debt or the border or crime, he's on our side. He's not so sophisticated and fundamentally stupid to be on the side of the criminals when they're rioting on the streets. He's not on the side of the Chinese when they're trying to take advantage of us economically and stealing all of our secrets. He's not on the side of the Russians. He's not on the side of the gangs. He's not on the side of the rioters. He's not on the side of the trans movement. He's on our side. He's one of us. He's one of our guys. He's handing you your French fries as you pull up to the drive-thru window at McDonald's. And he's not looking down on you. And that's the most important thing. He's not looking down on you. He eats those fries too. I think it's the smartest thing I've ever seen a politician do in my entire lifetime. And I think he's going to win this thing, and he's going to win it big. Then we'll see what happens when we have the chief executive of the government back on the side of the people that it's supposed to represent. That'd be something worth voting for. We'll see you next time right here on Hot Mic.